Good morning, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels, and we are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC. But before we do, the usual disclaimers and me letting off a little bit of steam. This morning has been a lesson in frustration. Kind of in our theme with the things we've been talking about, JRC. When I'm talking about our lives are filled with frustration and disappointment just from the everyday minutia. Facts. So this morning I came on here and I literally had to restart this computer twice to get my screen recorder to work properly instead of load. This is a lesson in frustration, JRC. Now, did I pick up my computer and throw it against the wall? Did I slam a mug into the wall? Did I go screaming down the street? Did I go to my cat and start acting aggressively? No, I did none of those things. What I did was mutter obscenities underneath my breath, and like most people who are back from the days of dial-up, screaming at the computer, "Why won't you work?" Now you can sit there and tell me that, Tiffany, this isn't a proper response to frustration according to the JRC. But again, the JRC don't want to just make you be proper. They basically, after calling you and treating you subhuman, want to squeeze the human right out of you. We have a right when we're frustrated, folks, to have obscenities under our breath and vocalize that frustration. As long as I'm not hurting anyone while doing it, signs of aggression doesn't automatically lead into me slamming a fist in someone's face or destruction of property. If they would get that out of their heads, we'd all be better off. But anyways, to the description box, folks. In the description box, you're going to find the link to the article that the Judge Rotenberg Center doesn't want you to read. It is written by NeuroClastic, a small non-for-profit started by autistics for autistics, where they interviewed and surveyed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's quote-unquote behavioral treatment program. Matter of fact, the JRC doesn't want you to read this article so much, they have threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit if they do not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic has, of course, refused. So you know the drill. Please read that article and share on all your social media. We also have the link to NeuroClastic's public statement in regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding in case the JRC has the cojones to actually see through their threat. We also got the links in regards to the Agape boarding school situation. Agape boarding school is a Christian-themed boarding school that takes in troubled male teens that has and pending over 21 lawsuits against it that are alleging child abuse, sexual abuse, psychological and emotional abuse, child trafficking, and let's not forget starvation, amongst many other charges that are coming out by the day. By the day, folks. We've had one former staff arrested by the FBI. The other is a former doctor that is up on substantiated charges of multiple cases of sodomy and sexual abuse against the students there. So please, folks, this is pertinent, and my state has been dragging their fucking feet. It feels like a setup, just like the Massachusetts courts bend over backwards to protect the JRC. So please share those articles on all your social media. This is an unlicensed school. Technically, it shouldn't even be allowed to operate, let alone accept students. So please share all that on social media. Also, go ahead and share the other link in there. It is the change.org Shut Agape Boarding School Down petition. We also got the pertinent links to the Stop the Shocks campaign, including Autistic Hoya's massive archive on the subject, the templates, and the ever-present self-explanatory change.org Shut the Judge Rotenberg Center Down petition. When we discuss the JRC, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with disabilities being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please use your headphones, all right? Now, we marked this channel not for children for a reason. We use profanity on this channel and we talk about dark subjects. If your child is under the age of 16 and are watching these videos, parental advisory is definitely advised, all right? Well, parental supervision is advised. I'm not awake. All right, folks, it is 5:20 a.m. in the morning. I am frustrated, tired, and I have not had my second coffee yet. So if I stumble over my words, apologies in advance, okay? Okay, so let's go to where we left off yesterday. We're going to dig into more of their insanity. Because here comes the stupid. Treatment programmed ops represent a special behavioral teaching procedure. Here are the few of their special characteristics. Oh, for fuck's sake. They're often useful to treat low-rate behaviors. Oh, for fuck's sake. Again, here we are going and inventing terms. Pseudoscience. Treatment program ops often involve highly specific and appropriate behaviors that may occur at very low rates. If the behaviors occur at too low rates under normal circumstances, it is very difficult to treat the behaviors by arranging consequences whenever the behaviors occur. Under the conditions, there are not just enough opportunities to effectively condition some new responses. Program ops are therefore extremely important, essential tool for treatment of low-rate behaviors. Oh, fuck me. Fuck me. Fuck me. So this is kind of some of the shit we were talking about, right? That you can't program out our neurology. That the only real reality with these behaviors is to bring them down to a lower rate. Well, apparently that's just not good enough for the JRC. Because they don't deal in reality. They expect you to act like a neurotypical 24/7, 7 days a week, every hour of every second of the day. They don't want to understand our neurology. They think that through their bizarre techniques, they can just program the autism right out of us. It's not how any of this works. Behavioral psychology in any of its applications is never going to change how my mind works. It's never going to happen. This is not a reality, JRC, no matter how much you want it to be. So how do they treat this then, folks? If they know deep down that these behaviors are still going to occur on rare occasions, well, they're still going to use their bizarre behavioral methods against us, and they're still going to punish us for them so that they can make it go away. And what do they do to provoke these behaviors if they are rare in occurrence? Well, they're not going to sit there and tell you that we actually have a good handle on it and we have the reasonable accommodations to make them at a lower rate. No, we're not going to deal in reality here. What we're going to do instead is provoke the behaviors that we're not having all the time, except under extreme duress. No. We can't have logic or reality here. We're going to provoke them to happen more often so that we can punish you for it, so that you can learn that it's wrong. Does this sound logical to you? Does this sound like science? It really doesn't, does it? If they are low rate or barely occurring at all behaviors, JRC, the matter of the fact is we already know they're wrong. And we already know the proper responses. The fact that they still occur is just fucking reality. Most neurotypicals are going to have outbursts and their own version of meltdowns. when life becomes completely fucking frustrating. I don't see you signing them up for a shock device. This is what I mean. We have to be, in the words of Rob Zombie, more human than human. We have to be the perfect human. Or else, right? Right. We can't just accept the victory of the fact that these behaviors are at low rates and only occur during extreme duress, like with neurotypical peers in my age group and in the age group they're talking about here. No, we can't have that. We can't have that. We are going to force these behaviors out of them and then punish them. Do you realize how psychotic that sounds, right? That is completely psychotic, JRC. This doesn't make sense to anyone outside of your insane bubble. And how do I know this? I have psychologist friends. I have psychiatrist friends. I have friends from the medical model, which we all know I hate. I have my own doctors I've talked about this bizarre shit, and they looked at me like I was batshit insane. Batshit insane. We got to accept reality at some point. Parents, JRC, ABA professionals, you've got to accept reality at some point. Psychology and behavioral science can only go so far. You cannot change the makeup. You cannot change our brains and how they operate. It's never going to happen. If they are at a low rate, if they are rare occurrences, this should be celebrated. It's a low rate, so what we have to do is force the behaviors out and then punish them so they know that they're wrong. We fucking know they're wrong! If out of 99 times we get it right, and that 1%, when it's just not caught, and reasonable accommodations are nowhere to be found, we have the behavior, that's still a success, JRC, because that is the same rate you'll see in our same age group with neurotypical kids. Okay? Matter of fact, it's better than neurotypical kids because they have outbursts all the time. You have any neurotypical siblings? I do, and I can tell you. Who had more outbursts, me or my neurotypical sibling? Well, you're the autistic. Nah. It actually wasn't. It was actually the neurotypical siblings in my household had infinitely more outbursts. They had more inappropriate conversations with arguing with the parents. You want to know what I was called, JRC? I was the good kid. Can you believe that? The autistic. I had less outbursts, less meltdowns, so to speak, than my neurotypical siblings. I still created problems. Granted, that's part of the diagnosis. Life sucks. But all in all, yeah. Not to mention, JRC, I was actually a delight to my teachers. You can look them up if you want. The only one that had a grudge against me was my social studies teacher, who didn't like the fact that I corrected them about some ancient history in front of everyone, and my math teacher, who had a grudge against me because of my brother. Okay? Why are we doing this? Why are we forcing these kids to have behaviors that are already low occurring, that 99% of the time they give the correct responses to? What does that teach us? It means that they know it's wrong and they already have alternative behaviors to meet the situation. But every once in a while, you run into something that just hits you in the head like a brick out of nowhere. It's not giving in at that point. You have an automatic triggered response. It's actually quite similar to having post-traumatic stress disorder when out of nowhere something random will trigger you. And when that trigger's fired, but you could have the appropriate response then. That's not how triggers work, though. If it's a sudden trigger, if we've got no prep time, if it's just fire at will, guess what's going to happen? Our neurology takes over the same way it does with the neurotypical. It may not look exactly the same, but you see where I'm going with here. You're not allowing us to be human, JRC. You're not even giving us the same allowances that you allow for neurotypicals. You want us to be more human than human, to be perfectly behaved, compliant, and obedient little people who are groomed for further abuse and victimization for the rest of our lives and never speak out or defend ourselves. Because after all, we dared to exist while breathing. We dared to exist at all, right? Right? This is the shit that pisses me off. They do these batshit insane things for issues that aren't even issues. What are we doing here? What the hell does that actually achieve? If 99 times out of 100 we are giving the appropriate response, when we get that sudden trigger out of nowhere, like a neurotypical, respond to our neurology, that is already a success. You don't need to go further than that. And quit expecting us to meet standards that you don't demand of our neurotypical peers in the same age group. In the same age group. Because your program wouldn't even work on a neurotypical teen because you don't have a realistic idea about normal. I'm going to close out on that one. We don't get very many views on this channel, especially on this subject. The few that we do tend to get removed from time to time. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and don't forget to hit the comments. I do appreciate your time this morning, and as always, we here at Spilling Tea hope you have a good one. Bye-bye, everyone.